If there is one thing I'm good at, it is pushing myself to grow. I've gone from graduating the top of my class to playing Division I college football to starting a career that I had no previous experience or expertise in to now doubling my income in 2 years and honestly loving what I do. Today, I'm going to be showing you everything that I have learned along the way, including the mistakes that I have personally paid for so that you can shortcut the journey to growing your career. There is no way you can intentionally listen to this video, implement the stuff I'm going to talk about, and not start making more money than what you're currently making. So what does it mean to grow in your career? I want to set the stage first and foremost that I am not saying that this video is going to teach you how to make $1 million next year and so that you can retire and be rich. That is not the purpose of this video. I think that I watch and listen to a lot of that content online, and while I think it's good and there's little nuggets that I've taken from that have been applicable to my life as, an employee and what that means, but I don't think, like this video is, when I say growing your career, I'm not talking about retiring tomorrow and making $1 million. I'm talking about 1, finding something you love to do, 2, something that actually makes you valuable in the workplace where you can make really good money, more than the people you're around, or more than people that you might have less experience than, or more than people who are older than you. And so that's kind of like the idea, because I know for myself, I love personal growth and the idea of reaching my full potential in all areas. And I know a lot of people feel the same way. And a lot of times jobs or, careers can feel like you just got to punch your ticket for years, if not a decade. And then you can move to this or move to that or start making this much. And I just wasn't interested in that. And I feel like I have been able to not crack the code, because I am by no means a millionaire or rich or anything like that. But how I've kind of cracked the code in that, even as young, in my young or mid 20s, have been able to find something that I love to do. I feel like I have control of where I want to take my career and how much money I make, and the value that my employer sees in me, if that makes sense, as opposed to me just being, a part of the system and making however many dollars. And so that's kind of like the premise of this video. If I have not met you before, welcome to the Power Talks series. Generally, most of the time we are having guests on this show and I'm interviewing them about how they've grown their careers, how they developed their soft skills. And this is, I've done this for 30 plus episodes, spoken to 30 plus guests, experts, people that, are CEOs, people that are just consultants, people that love what they do, people that have tips and tricks, people that have tens of thousands of followers on LinkedIn or YouTube or different channels. And so this is kind of like the culmination of all of those things as a part of this video. And so really what I wanted to showcase and just break down was 5 different things. And the first one being to learn a valuable skill. And effectively, this could arguably be the most important point of this entire video. And really what I'm just trying to tell you is I've heard this saying that, your wealth is a measure of your worth. And I want to explain this because I think that could be taken the complete wrong way and not at all what I'm trying to say. And so there's a lot of, maybe entrepreneurs or business gurus online that talk a lot about how much money you make is a direct reflection of how much value you bring to society. And I want to draw a distinction. We are not talking about your value as a human being. Not talking about if you aren't rich, no one cares about you, or you have no reason to live. I'm not saying anything like that. You have value as a human being, as a creation, as a person, as a soul, maybe, you have value. And so I'm not trying to say that if you're not wealthy, you don't have value. That's not what I'm saying. But generally, the more value you bring to other people, the easier you make other people's lives, the amount of time that you save other people, the amount of money that you make your employer or your company, the more valuable you are to them. And so thus the more money you generally make. And so that's like the premise of this saying. And I feel like in today's day and age, like I think something that is very forgotten and very lost is that if you want to grow your career, if you want to make more money, the thing to do is to not go to your boss and ask for a raise. The thing to do is to learn a valuable skill. Like the thing to do is to learn something that not a lot of people know and that is generally valuable to other businesses or other people. I think that's why, like, one example that I kind of think about right off the top of my head is like, I don't know, the idea of like being a YouTuber or a content creator is really growing a lot right now because people have a lot to say or see the idea that can make money for them passively, or, you know, just the idea of being a content creator is pretty glorified. And so like a skill that is, you know, becoming more and more valuable is things like thumbnail creators or things like video editors, because people are recognizing that that's something that's really hard to do or takes a lot of time. And so they're willing to pay more and more and more for it as the demand for that person goes up. And right, these are like the true skill of video editing. I mean, I edit all my videos and some people say they're good, but like the true skill of video editing takes a long time to really learn and really sharpen. And that is a valuable skill that a lot of people cannot replicate. Like what drives me crazy sometimes is when you hear people that are upset about not making a lot of money or not getting a raise, and I don't know anybody that works at McDonald's, so I'll use that example, and they work at a fast food chain flipping burgers. In my mind, it's like, okay, well, yes, sure, people need to eat, but the skill of flipping a burger is not valuable. Like anybody could arguably do that. And so because that skill is not inherently valuable, you're not inherently paid a lot for that skill. And so like, I don't necessarily know what this valuable skill is for you. I think you need to find something that like meshes well with what you're passionate about or what your experience is in or where your current job lies. I know for me, I have been, what do I do? If you are unaware, I am a low-code Power Platform consultant. So I specifically work with Microsoft products and work with businesses to implement what's called Microsoft Dynamics or customer relations management software, and I customize it to their business utilizing the Power Platform, which is a low-code software solution. So I am not a computer programmer, but I'm able to build apps and build automations. And even though I don't have the technical skill of knowing how to write JavaScript or, you know, any other stack of code, I know how to build things on the Power Platform. And even though I know that, just because I know that, it makes me relatively valuable. You know, I have X amount of certifications and X amount of experience. And because of that, I now have some value in the marketplace. And I think this could be said too, is like, and this kind of starts to lead me into my second point before I want to get there. So put a pin in this, right? That's a super corporate term, but like put a pin in it, parking lot, this. Another thing that I think helps people make more money or keep jobs, and this is one of the most impactful things I've learned just from talking to people and interviewing them, and that is to stay close to revenue for your business. So here I'm specifically talking to, you know, employees, which I think most people that are watching this video are employees as opposed to employers or entrepreneurs at some point in some way. And so what does that mean? Stay close to revenue. Well, that could mean get involved in sales. That would be one way to stay close to revenue. But what this kind of sub point of becoming valuable is really getting at is you need to be making your company money and not costing your company money at the end of the day, at some point. And there's a lot of roles, while yes, they are important and yes, they are valuable, like research and development, like human resources, like executive level leadership, like middle level management. All of these roles are important. I'm not saying they aren't important, but when you are in one of those roles, you are inherently less valuable than a salesperson or a delivery person is. And because when you're in one of those roles, you typically cost your company more money than you make them, right? And salespeople make companies a lot of money. They're the ones that go and find the revenue. Or for myself, I am not in sales, but I'm in the delivery side. So when I am building something and I bill those hours, I'm making my company money when I bill. And so like, that's like, also I think that it's something that's really important. Now, if you're like, no, I want to be in HR, this is my calling, like absolutely go crush it. But like, just think about how can, in my role, how can I stay close to revenue? How can I impact my company and build my career in a way that keeps me close to making my company more money, as opposed to, yeah, people are going to figure out the money, but my company's going to keep paying me and I just got to do X, Y, Z. Like, that is not going to grow your career. Now, that's the easy thing to do, right? And then this is probably true for all of these things. Like, I think I don't think it's easy, but I think it's simple, like what I'm outlining here. And so you might not think it's groundbreaking, any of these points that I say, but like, they're hard. They're not easy to do. And you got to kind of take some time and really think about them outside of the box and figure out, how can I stay close to revenue? How can I build a super valuable, in-demand skill that people or businesses would be willing to pay me for? Because the more value I can give to other people, the more wealth or the more, money you will make and be able to advance your career. So number 2, I want to move on. Number 2 is very related to this, and that is to sharpen your transferable skills. And so what do I mean? Where is this coming from? So I know I just said, hey, learn a super valuable skill and become an expert in that one thing. And now I'm saying, okay, learn a second or third skill. And so the point of this video is not just to tell you need to go learn a bunch of skills. That's not what I'm trying to say. But I was recently reading this book on a plane. I don't know if anyone's familiar with the like Harvard Business Review series, where they take 10 different articles on a certain topic and throw them into a book. But I was reading this book on the Harvard Business Review on high performance. And so like on people who are considered high performers and their ability to just do excellent work and get stuff done. And a lot of what they were talking about is that when you say, I use the example of video editing, so I'll just stick with that. So say, I am a video editor, and I'm drawing a chart, I guess, right? Here's a chart, and this axis is how good I am at this skill, right? Like just some measure of that. And this axis is over a length of time. So like how many months or years I've been doing this. That this chart is very, what do you call this? It's not exponential, but the opposite of this. Is that parabolic? I don't know. Any math geniuses out there where it goes up a lot at the beginning and then it starts to plateau. Yes, it still incrementally increases, as you're going over time. But generally, like the improvements from, say, year 5 to 6 is a lot less than the improvements from year 0 to 1, right? Like you're going to improve a lot here and slowly it's going to drop off and drop off and drop off. And so what they were saying is the real difference makers, the real difference maker in people who are actually high performers, who actually get a ton of stuff done and bring a ton of value, are not just people that have years and a ton of expertise in one skill, but actually have a ton of expertise in multiple skills, and how these multiple skills can kind of create a web of how valuable this person is. Because say you've been doing something for 5 years, spending the next year focusing on developing that same skill is going to improve your effectiveness at the skill much less than if you started with a new, fresh skill and really focused on that for a year. Right now, you're going to be like higher or, more valuable, or be able to grow in your career, to bring it back to the title of this video. And so, like, sharpen your transferable skills. Now, that's kind of the background of where I'm coming from. And so what does that kind of mean? I think that in today's day and age, right, I read a statistic. I shared this on a previous episode. I don't know where I heard this or where I read it, but it's basically saying that of the kids today, or the kids being born right now, 2/3 of them will work a job that does not exist yet. And like I said, you can't fact check me on that. But what this is getting at is like what the job landscape looks like 20 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now is so different than what it is today. It's unforeseeable. Like you can't predict what it's going to look like. And so to caveat my first point of learning a super valuable skill, it could be very possible that that valuable skill is no longer relevant in 20 years because of either AI or technology or, some greater force, I guess, of something that happens in the world. And so how do we bulletproof ourselves against my job, my skill becoming obsolete? And that is to learn transferable skills. And generally these transferable skills are more soft skill or industry expertise, I would call them. So specifically, I think that the two secret weapons of someone who's a valuable person is being able to communicate and being able to learn. And if you can master those two things, no matter what you do or no matter where the job landscapes go or no matter how technology changes your career, you're going to be all right. If you can understand how you learn and how to become an expert in something, which you're practicing in step number 1, you're practicing how to become an expert at something. And then understanding and how to communicate your ideas is fundamental, because no matter what you do, if you are a good communicator, you are going to be valuable. Being a good communicator is foundational to being a valuable person and growing your career. And I think there's a lot of other transferable skills as well. Emotional intelligence is another huge one that I should definitely, I guess, hit on. And if you're unfamiliar with what emotional intelligence is, you should definitely read some books on it. I've read a separate Harvard Business Review. I keep looking up here because I have them on this bookshelf up here. But that's another Harvard Business Review book that I've read on emotional intelligence. And I think that understanding how to understand your emotions, understand other people's, manage your emotions, manage other people's, and how to do that through effective communication, how to transfer ideas from my brain to their brain, how to transfer, complex problems or solutions to problems to other people is incredibly valuable and will help bulletproof your career so that it can continue to grow. So that's, point number 2. Point number 3, and I've kind of gotten into this, is to read more stuff. And I must admit, I despised reading growing up all the way through college. I despised reading. And about when I was 22, I moved into this apartment for a short period of time that had really bad Wi-Fi. And so I'm by no means a professional gamer, but I definitely enjoy playing video games, and especially, all through growing up and through college, loved playing video games. And our Wi-Fi was so bad that I could not play any video games. So for those, and fortunately I was living there pretty short term, but I decided, you know what, I'm going to start reading. And really my motivation for reading at the time, and I've said this before on the show, was I feel like smart people have a bookshelf full of books behind them, I was thinking about when I'm on a Teams meeting with work, I want to have all these books behind me and sound smart, and I can't have a bookshelf of books that I haven't read before. You know what I mean? That would just be fake. So I'm all right, I'm going to start reading a ton of books just so that I can fill a bookshelf, just so that I can look smarter, was my thought. And I realized that in reading these books, I started learning a lot. And I think that that was some advice that I just needed to learn on my own and get over, is if you are wanting to grow your career, read more. And there's 2 points to this. I would totally recommend, like I said, I'm potentially addicted to personal growth and reaching my full potential. And so I love reading personal development, business development, spiritual development sort of books, like things that can help me make me a better person. I don't really read a ton of fiction, but I actually heard a really good point with a recent guest on the show, and they had shared that taking it back to communication, they had shared that if communication was an Olympic sport, then reading would be the banned substance, or reading would be like the steroid, the thing that can make your communication skills so good that people would not allow you to use it if it were an Olympic sport, right? And that's what we were talking about. And so I think that and what he was talking about was, just read anything. If you want to develop your communication skills, read anything. Like, you're just consuming language and processing language in your brain and building your vocabulary and building sentence structure and building storytelling, even just by casually reading fiction books. And so I'm not necessarily saying, hey, if you only enjoy fiction, don't read fiction. Definitely read whatever, because it'll help you build your communication skills, which, as we've already covered, is fundamental. But I think for myself too, like reading books on leadership, reading books on emotional intelligence, reading books on soft skills, reading books on high performance, reading books on influencing and managing and influencing people in my relationships. Like, I guess I just feel like, even though I couldn't necessarily recite the point of every book I've read or every chapter that I've read, just like casually almost consuming this knowledge and surrounding myself in it has been super beneficial. And maybe the bookshelf is ironically over here. It's not even in the background of my calls, but like, just, I don't know, it even just allows you to, maybe it's even a confidence thing now that I'm like thinking about it, is that like, because I have, read X amount of books, or because I've read so many books on this topic, I can feel a lot more confident in my ability to speak on that topic, whether I'm in a YouTube video or in a meeting with a customer or talking to a friend, right? And so I guess it's just those reps, I guess, of communication and doing that. So that's, I guess, point number 3, maybe a short and sweet one, but to read more. And I encourage you to do that, even if you don't like reading. Like, ask a mentor for a good book recommendation and just start there. And now I just have an Amazon list. There's like 30 books in there, and just when the time comes and I've read all my books, I just pick one off the list, and I know it's going to be at least halfway decent because someone recommended it. And when I finish that, I get another one, and when someone gives a book recommendation, I add it to the list, so it's just a running list. And that's kind of what I do, and I think that it's been super beneficial for me. Okay, point number 4 is to build your brand, and I think this is something that is like super overstated and is used all the time, so much to the point we don't even really know what that means anymore. But I think that like something that is becoming more and more clear, and a lot of people, don't, I guess, disagree with nowadays, is most companies, most jobs, while sure, you might honestly feel like your company really cares about you as an individual, and, if my company is listening, I'm not saying I despise my company. I'm not saying that. But I think building your brand is an excellent way to kind of build yourself up independently of where you currently work. I feel like a lot of people, their identity online is just an extension of where they work. And I explicitly think of like LinkedIn profiles or whatever, right? Like, in their bio and in their whatever, they just have everything about the company they currently work at. And I guess I would just like to think that as a person, I am much more than the place I currently work at. And I'm trying to, for the past almost year, little over a year, have been working on just building my brand online, trying to find ways to share things that I'm learning online to help make my name a little bit more recognizable in the space as well, as opposed to just Griffin, the consultant at X company. And so, that's, I guess, why I've included this point, because I feel like building your brand is, when we talk about the job landscape changing and different things, I think building your brand is unequivocally one of the most valuable things you can be doing right now, because building your brand, I'm learning, takes a lot of time, a lot of effort, and absolutely nothing is overnight. Even if you have something go viral, you don't have a brand. You just, a lot of people saw your face in relation to something funny, or something insightful, but that's not building your brand. Like, building your brand, I'm learning, takes years and years and years and years. And so getting started on that early is so important, because by the time, say, I'm 30, I'm going to have done this for 5+ years, where 6+ years, where, I would like to think that by the time I'm 30, I can have a really strong built brand, where as opposed to, say, I start when I'm in my 40s and now I'm 50 looking to retire in the next few years, and now I have a strong brand, right? And so, like, I kind of feel like building your brand is super important to building your career, because it also makes you more valuable. It makes you more visible to other people at your employer, people at other employers, the hiring people at other employers. Like, it just generally makes you more valuable. And what do I mean by building my brand? Maybe I need to sit back and elaborate on this. What I mean is sharing what you kind of know online, sharing things you've learned, sharing your expertise, sharing tips and tricks. For myself, it's really easy because I work with a low-code development platform, like software development platform, and so there's all sorts of advancements and things coming out on this. So it does kind of make it easier. I can share tips and tricks on this all the time. Or these videos, I sit down with other, experts in kind of the space I work in and pick their brains, and then share those conversations on YouTube, and share with a LinkedIn post. And doing that has allowed me to build my brand in a way where like I said, I have no intentions of going anywhere, but I enjoy having some independence, I guess, in that way, right? Like, I am Griffin, the consultant, the low-code Power Platform consultant. I'm not Griffin, the consultant at X company, if that makes sense. And so that, I think, has been huge and has allowed me to kind of help shore up who I want to be in this space. And I am by no means an expert in building my brand. Definitely learning a ton. I mean, I had zero experience before getting into this. Zero LinkedIn experience, zero YouTube experience, but I have learned a ton along the way. And I think that this is what I was trying to get into earlier. Like, sharing things I'm learning, and yes, I'm sharing them for free. I'm not being paid. This, at least at the time of recording this, my YouTube channel isn't even monetized. So making this video costs me a little bit of time and makes me effectively zero at this point in time. Like, I am just trying to give value. And taking this back to point one, I'm trying to give and give and give more value to the people that are listening or are watching this far, which, by the way, thank you so much. Be sure to like and subscribe. But I'm trying to just bring value to other people. And I'm trusting that as I continue to pour in value across YouTube, across LinkedIn, then eventually I'm going to be able to start making some money, I guess. I think that is by no means my main motivator for starting the channel or for reaching out to experts in the space and talking to them, is to monetize our conversations. No, but I understand that the amount of money I make is generally tied to the value I bring. So if I want to make more money, let me bring more value to other people. And that has, I guess, kind of been the birth of the idea of wanting to do this. Because generally I want to grow. I want to build my career. I want to make more money so that I can enjoy my life and the freedom that money brings more. Not that I find my identity in how much money I make, but that's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. I don't know if that makes any sense or just makes me sound like a snob who only cares about money and doesn't care about people. I like to think I've been doing things the right way, and making really positive connections with people, and I think that my interactions with them speaks for that. But like that's point number 4, is build your brand. Share value online. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. Like, building your brand is just sharing value online with other people for free, and building your brand can help you become independent kind of from where you work, so that way if something were to happen or you no longer like your job, you have this brand that you can lean back on to either find a new job or lean on your brand completely if you were to build it in a certain way or to a certain level. Lean on it completely for your income and do that. So that's point number 4. Point number 5 is to reach out to others and learn. And so what do I specifically mean? I specifically mean let me share a story. When I first started the kind of Power Talk series, as we call them. So I had started the channel September of 2023. I started Power Talks in like March of 2024. And when I started Power Talks, my wife had asked me, okay, what's your goal? What's your goal for this? And I can honestly say I told her my goal is, if anything, I'm having hour-long sit-down conversations with different experts and mentors and people with a lot of wisdom, and just like learning from them. And if anything, yes, I'm getting a lot and learning from them, and so that I can try to apply it, and they're giving me value that I can kind of sift through and give back to you. But also, like, I'm building friendships with these people that are all over the place, all over the world. Different companies, different roles, different industries, different, continents, all of these different people. And I like to think that even just doing that, like if I just sat down and recorded these conversations, it would still be incredibly positive impact on my career and my brand and my colleagues and like just friends that I have. And so that's kind of point number 5, is I encourage you, no matter what you do or where you are, reach out to several people, at least one. But there's no reason you couldn't reach out to somebody every week, right? And just get something on a schedule to sit down and talk. Hey, I just want to introduce myself and pick your brain and put together some questions and be really intentional about that time. And like, I think that has been huge for me, in that it's just given me, again, even though I can't necessarily recite every, key point that every guest has shared, just being able to like have this like, I don't know, like repertoire of experience, just stories learned from these people, advice, key points, key takeaways from all these people has been huge, and that I can take into wherever I go next or whatever I do or however I want to grow my career, right? So that's, I guess, kind of point number 5. I think a lot of times that can be intimidating or scary because you like to think like, oh, well, this person's so busy, or they have so many followers, or this or that, or they make X amount of dollars more than me. Why would they want to talk to me? Well, I will say that has not been my experience at all. The only reason I've had people turn down connecting with me is because they were in a super busy season with just like work and life and everything going on. I have not had anybody say, sorry, not interested, don't want to talk to you. That is not, and if somebody does say that, then that is not you. They are just a dweeb. That's the best way I'll say it. They're a bad person. But but nonetheless, like, reach out to somebody. And it doesn't need to be someone huge, but like somebody who's just 2 years farther into their career than where you were. Like someone than where you are. Somebody that you can see, okay, I could see myself doing what they do 2 years from now. Reach out to them and try to meet every other week, once a month, maybe once a week, or have kind of a rolling door of people that you reach out to and meet with. So you meet with somebody once a week, but it's a different person every week, and you just you're learning and picking their brain. And if anything, it helps you build relationships with these people, other people in the space. And like, I don't know, I think we've all heard it, that a lot of times getting a job is not how valuable you are, but how the people you know. And so I encourage you, like, meet more people. And I think that a lot of times, something that I often forget is that it's easier to meet people now than it's ever been before, because there's just the technology that's available. The fact that I could message anyone on LinkedIn, send them a message, assuming they allow me, and we might not be connected, but I can message anyone on LinkedIn. If they want to supply me their email, awesome. And then I send them a Teams invite for 30 minutes, and we can talk face to face. That, like, stuff like that has never been possible before in the history of humankind. But we have the ability to meet people easier than ever before. So I just encourage you, like, do your best to meet people. Like, people that are at the same place as you in your career, people that are farther, people that are 20 years farther than you. Like, and don't feel like you need to record it or upload it. Just do it. Just do it for you. Just do it for you. Like that, I feel like has been a super huge benefit to, like, this channel, I guess. And it's encouraged me to step outside of my comfort zone and reach out to these people that I've never talked to before. And we end up having an awesome conversation, becoming really good friends. So those are my 5 points. Fast forward your career. Hopefully you like the video. If you are this far into it, I just need to truly, truly personally thank you for being this far. I mean, you seriously sat here for 40 minutes and just listened to me talk. I mean, there might be something wrong with you. No, I'm just kidding. But, like, thank you so much for being here. If you are liking these sort of videos, be sure to let me know down in the comments down below. I think these solo episodes can be fun and allow me to kind of curate maybe what I'm thinking about, or, you know, what I'm learning, and just really share them in a concise way, as opposed to, I think the guest conversations are great because we get to hear their expertise, and, you know, they're much more like interview style where I'm asking them questions and giving my thoughts and different things. But yeah, these are just different. If you like them, let me know down in the comments down below. Thank you so much for sticking to the end of the video. My name is Griffin Lickfeld, the host of the Citizen Developer channel, and I'm excited to connect with you in the next one.